We have now El-Gallal, es la directora del Centro Libio para el Desarrollo y los Derechos Humanos. Ha sido también la primera ministra de Educación de Libia tras la revolución, la revuelta de la primavera árabe allí, y tiene una gran experiencia de trabajo en el ámbito de la sociedad civil. Por favor, Hana.
I'm honored today to be with distinguished attendants and people, and I'm really happy and thankful for the invitation. I come from the city of Benghazi, from Libya. Benghazi has been always the city for movements and revolutions against dictatorships, fighting for civil rights, fighting for human dignities and human worth. I'm honored to be from that city, which also in February 17th, 2011 started the revolution in that city, which I took part in it. Benghazi, which is the uniqueness of this city, is that it's made up from all Libya. It's not based on any certain groups, or it's a mix of all Libyans in it, as we are always accused of being tribal. And always you will hear in the media that Libya is all about fighting, about tribalism, and etc. In reality, this is not the point. If we go back, and I'll take you a little bit to the history of Libya, Libya is a new state which started in 1951, the Kingdom of Libya, and with a constitution, which if you study now, you will realize that we have been started in a very good position. During the 15 years of the kingdom under the King Idris, things was going forward. There was very civilized. The University of Benghazi was number 17 in American universities, and we were going in a good civil and building a state. However, in 1969, there was a coup against the king, and then we had Gaddafi for 42 years. Then we suffered one important thing, which most people didn't see or know about Libya, which is a systematic destruction of education. Since then, all the new generation lacked education, lacked interaction with other cultures. Despite all the atrocity of Gaddafi's, which has been not part of the media or the international organization, it has not been documented for a long time. That's why when the revolution started, it was shocking for everybody who came to Benghazi to see this civil society's movements, which is a spontaneous, it has no experience, but in 4 or 5 days, the eastern part of Libya, or Cyrenaica, was liberated before anybody interfere or come to us. The women, during these 5 days, they had very major role. They called for everybody to come out. They had political role. They had civil society charity work. They had organization work, raising awareness and educating the youth. The Libyan revolution, which started in the east, also for the people who didn't follow, it started in the east. We were liberated, but we had a continuous fight for the liberation of the rest of Libya. The women were a leading forces. It was a population revolution, and the women had a leading role. However, as the revolution started to succeed, things went wrong, and the revolution was stolen. Women's role has been pushed away. I was a member of the coalition, and then a minister of education of the revolution. However, after that, I had to resign because things were going against women's rights, against civil society, against democracy and human rights, what we fought for. The sad part is that despite the fact we were talking and saying that this revolution, and the women were really, with all the international envoys, regional, everywhere, in all our conferences we attended, or special meetings with different international figures, senators, or ambassadors, or foreign ministers, nobody was listening to what we were saying, that extremism is penetrating Libya. Extremism is controlling Benghazi, despite the fact that the American ambassador, who was a friend of mine, Chris Stephen, may he rest in peace, was killed there, and the American drones were all over Benghazi, and despite our writings and talking and all the civil society's movements in Benghazi, nobody paid attention to what's happening. And as from an example of why they didn't see that, or they didn't want to listen, I don't understand the reason. I was talking with an ambassador from Europe, and he said, "You are always complaining. You are not happy. Look at business is as usual." And I said, "Sir, business as usual is what we did revolution against. Business as usual, it will guarantee your contracts, will protect your interests, but business as usual is what Benghazi did a revolution against. Because business as usual means corruption. Business as usual means marginalization. Business as usual means violations of human rights. Business as usual means centralism that in Libya we cannot afford anymore. We are already marginalized. Everything is systematically destroyed. Institutions, education, everything. We have nothing. We are starting under the scratch. We need from you support for security, for building institutions before talking about contracts and business as usual. And if you are happy now in Tripoli and you are having contracts, your contracts going and working and your economical interest is, you are benefiting, but without solving the problems we did revolution against, everybody will suffer. And having Benghazi safe will not only, having Benghazi not safe will not only harm Benghazi, it will harm everybody, regionally, internationally. Because Benghazi is the only city was fighting for civil rights, a civil state was fighting for human rights and human dignities, for democracy, for election. However, after being in the center of the media in 2011, Libya has been pushed aside. Extremism controlled Benghazi, which with pain, now Benghazi is completely under destruction. But we are honored because we are the one who are fighting extremism. We are paying the price. And with the civil society still working hard, and with women as leading figures in fighting extremism in Benghazi. We need help. Yes, we do need help from all the civil societies to point and to talk about what's happening in Libya, because not because to help us, actually to help yourself. Because if Libya falls in the hands of ISIS with the oil, with the 6 borders, and how close it is from the EU and from everywhere, it's a very central country, then everybody will pay the price. Lots of money in the hands of people who don't respect anyone will not be beneficial to any of us. As a civil society activist and advocate, this is what I really want everybody to understand. If Libya continues to be a failed state, which is now nearly there, it will not benefit anyone. Many people will say Islam and accuse Islam and expect me to defend Islam. I'm a Muslim, a proud Muslim, but however, I don't defend Islam, and I moved from Islam against the West and vice versa. All this conspiracy theory, because conspiracy theory doesn't work today from reality, because now Islam is against Islam. I don't think what's happening in your part of the world, because I am suffering from ISIS, I am suffering, I have my friends, my colleagues, my family's been assassinated, been killed, kidnapped. Benghazi as a wounded city, lots of pain, lots of destruction, still women and civil society are working hard to defy terrorism and the letting down from all the world. We fight. We will keep fighting for what we believed in when we came out in this revolution, for dignity, for democracy, for equality, for gender equality, and the equality, the right of citizenship of everybody, minorities and everybody, all religious, race groups. However, if we don't have help, if the media really come and see what's happening and not only hearing and listening or followed self-interest economical gains, things will not be good for anyone. And now you start realizing with all this illegal migrants and all these people dying in the sea, which is not, it's not a new story to anybody. The Kafra road, it's none. Since a long time, and has been used by Gaddafi to threaten Italy and threaten everybody. He used to send, and whenever he wants, he sent and use it to have gains or benefits from Europe to give up to him. So it's not a new story. Everybody knows that Libya has one of the dangerous roads for to trafficking human beings and drugs and weapons. Now Libya is open. Extremists coming from all over the world. They are coming from Mali, from Syria, from Tunisia, from Philippines, from Europe, from America. They are all coming, residing in Libya. Our youth are being brainwashed with all the disappointment and the depression and the failure of the revolution to provide any results, and things are going from bad to worse, and with the corruption is going 200%, where in 4 years we have more than 160 billions we don't know anything about. Nothing has been done to Libya, nothing has done to the institutions or to the youth or any programs. This situation calls the attention for us as civil society to call the attention of everybody to take care of what's happening there. I can see now Libya is more in the media. People are talking about it. There are dialogues happening in Skhirat al-Maghrib, and it was before that in Geneva. However, this is not enough. Libya needs a big support from all, not because you are helping Libya, but because you are helping yourself as Europe, as in the region and internationally. Libya is a wealthy country, though we as Libyans have never seen our wealth, but we are told we are wealthy. And I'm talking from pain. I have lots of healing inside to do because I did lose lots of my friends, my students, especially the youth. We have betrayed the young people. They are killing each other. By the moment now in my city, Benghazi, there is boys who are 16, 17 being killed from both sides. We have foreigners leading those battles, which we don't know why they are there. We don't understand till now as civil societies why the politicians, whether nationally, regionally, or internationally, have let us down. I don't like the blaming game, so I always try to work. So we are trying, raising awareness. We are not leaving the space for extremists to do their talking. We are talking. I've been threatened by myself. My kids was nearly kidnapped. I had to leave Libya and go to Amman, but we are still working. We are not giving up. People say the Arab Spring failed. For me, Arab Spring, I don't like the name Arab Spring. It was a revolution against dictatorship, injustices, and brutality. And we learned. We are people with no experience. We had no experience, not in civil societies. We don't have experience in anything, not in democracy, not in dialogue, and anything. We are making our own experience now. We are learning with a heavy price. It's hard, it's not easy, but we didn't fail because we are still here, we are still fighting, we are going to fight from Benghazi, from Cyrenaica, which has been always for unity of Libya. It has been always for civil rights, for civil state, and we will fight, we will continue fights, we will make our pain, all this blood that has been shed as a stone for us to step on and to push on building for our country, our new Libya, for the future generation, which we have let them down many times, but we are not giving up. We will always say, as Omar Mukhtar said, we are people, we don't give up, we win or die. Hopefully we don't die, we hope we win and build our new nation. It's a long way, it's a long process. I started from a high expectation. I'm an idealist by nature. I'm not as much anymore, I have to be a realist. But I know it's a long, long road to go, and we are willing to go. through this road. It will be, but we cannot do it with the help of all the civil societies, of all the international partners and regional partners. Libya is in a very special place. It's a very rich country. It's in the Mediterranean. We have lots of differences with other countries. We are not the Arab nations. We are not one bloc. Every state has a different story. We have our own story. We have our own problems. We are a new nation. Also, we have so much in common. I always like to concentrate on what we have in common, and we try to solve the misconceptions and misunderstandings by dialogue, continuous dialogue, by taking a different way to look at things. Imposing the same things we have been discussing 15 years ago on the table now, while everything has changed, the whole makeup of the region and of the world has changed, it will be a little bit hard. It's time to start looking at things from different points of view, to think how to be creative and initiative, not to have a pre-made, prepared plans or solution for any country, because from experience, I have solution. They tell me, let's do election. I said, this dialogue was with the UN mission in Libya. He said, we have to do election quickly. I said, no, we cannot do election quickly. People don't understand what's election. They don't know what is it? What is it for? They said, no, we have to do it quickly. We have to have a democratic government. But if people don't know what's election, then it will not be a democratic government. And no, they were in a hurry. We did an election, where the election, the most important things about election is the ability to accept to lose. If we don't have this ingrained in us to accept to lose, that means the election will not work. And this is what happened in the first election, Libyan election for the parliament, the first parliament. The Islamists didn't win. And then what happened? It was all about gaining power, not accepting the results. And election was not successful, and people stopped believing in election and in the democratic process. And assassination, killing, destruction increased with, I cannot even count how much. It's beyond our ability even to talk about this. We still didn't calculate our death toll during those last 3 years. We go to any other concept, transitional justice, human rights, everything now is messed up in Libya because it's all done without a well preparation. We have a package and we are asked to do. We can't do that. The same thing with women's rights. Women's rights, I cannot start from where you stopped. I cannot start from where the French or the Americans or the Finnish stopped. It's a long battle. It's a long battle we have to take. It might take a year, it might take 200 years, as long as we are fighting for our rights, because rights are not given, they are fought for. And this is one thing that people couldn't understand when they say women's rights. Women's rights is not about taking an example and planting it in another culture. It's because it created a gap between the women and men, and there was confusion, because even the one who were fighting for women's rights didn't understand it as a fool, so they couldn't defend it. They were confused with their own intolerances. Personally, I don't believe that women's always the victim, because sometimes they victimize themselves because they are the mothers who plant the seeds of inequality in their kids. So it's not about just fighting, it's about raising awareness, and not starting from the young ones only, it's also starting with the mothers and teachers. If we don't work and raise awareness of mothers and teachers about women's rights, we will never succeed, because we will create a society that they talk a different language, and it will create a gap, and it will create lots of violence and violations. We always have to work on parallel line, work with education, work with the young ones, but at the same time we have lots of raising awareness with women first, and then we can start working with the men and the men's society. It's a long process. I don't give up, but it's a long process, and it has to come from within with lots of help and from the experience of others and studying them and asking for help, but creating our own fight. And now in Libya, I will not say that we are fighting for women's rights. At the moment, we are fighting for the right of life. And I think the biggest role for women at this moment in Libya is peace, and to fight for peace and to bring peace and security to Libya in order to be able to fight for the rest of rights which we entitled to. It's our rights. We are not asking for anybody to give it to us, and not even our Libyan men, who many of them were supporting us and were there for us, and we wouldn't have done lots of things without their support. So we have high appreciation to men. The fight is not about men against women or women against men. It's about ideologies. It's about the way we are brought up. There is lots of traditions and customs we need to challenge, lots of fights to be done, but it will take times which we have to be patient and not to have high expectation. And now also we have the importance for our young generation, which many of them now disappointed, disillusioned, and have been brainwashed by ISIS. And now the battle is going on in Benghazi, hoping that soon we will win against that, but also we will be facing another dictatorship, military control if the civil society don't keep working. Many of our men are lost their life. Libya soon will be a state of women, because men are dying continuously. So we will have a lot of work to do as women in different areas, not only women's rights, it's also for every single right for the youth and men, and for the crippled, handicapped, or the people with special need. With the war, we have the number has risen so much. The work is tough, it's challenging for us women in civil societies with raising awareness and everything. Libya is passing through a very hard time. We need the support of everybody, all the civil society. Pray for us, and thank you very much.